My name is Lena Brooks, and every story about betrayal starts with one simple truth. You never expect it from the people who share your blood. When my father died last winter, I thought grief was the enemy. I thought loneliness would break me. I never imagined the real threat was sitting across the dinner table, wearing my last name like a costume. Before I begin, if you're listening, stay with me. My story matters, and sharing it helps me breathe. Comment if you're here. It keeps this story alive. I grew up on Blackwater Ranch, 4,000 acres of Nevada dust, wild mustangs, cattle bells, and sunsets that looked like God was signing the sky with fire. I used to think our life was simple. My father said the land watched over us the way the river watched the reeds. It felt eternal, like something no one could take away. That's what I believed, until the day he took his last breath. When Dad passed, I was 26, old enough to take care of the ranch, young enough for people to think I didn't know what I was doing. But I did. I'd been ranching since I could walk. I'd cleaned barns, delivered calves, fixed tractors, and learned how to read clouds for rain. I knew my father's life. I lived it. So when my Aunt Marlene arrived 2 days after the funeral, wearing diamonds and a red coat that didn't belong on ranch soil, I felt something cold in my chest. She hugged me like a politician hugs a camera. I remember her perfume more than her tears. She didn't stay in the guest room. She stayed in my father's room. She said it made her feel close to him. I nodded then. I didn't know the monster I was nodding to. Within a week, she started giving orders to the ranch hands. Within 2 weeks, she held staff meetings in the living room. By the end of the month, she was signing checks like she owned the place. And then she made the announcement. She told everyone the ranch belonged to her. I laughed when she said it. I thought grief made her delusional. Then she showed me a legal transfer document, signed by my father, naming her as the sole owner. The signature? It was flawless. Too flawless. Dad could barely hold a pen during his last weeks. I stared at it, and she smiled a slow, confident smile. "You're young, Lena. You don't understand how to run this land. My father trusted me to protect it." And if you're wondering why I didn't rip the paper out of her hands right there, it's because grief weakens you. It fogs your judgment. I was broken, and she knew it. Weeks passed, and she started talking to outsiders. Men in suits came in polished trucks, walking around the ranch like vultures, circling a dying animal. I overheard them talking about oil reserves beneath our land, worth millions. I remember Dad refusing an offer from a survey company early last year. He'd said, "They want to bleed the earth dry. We don't sell our bloodline." Now here she was, ready to cash in our heritage for money that smelled like poison. Still, I stayed silent, fought emotions instead of people, observed instead of interrupting. If I accused her too soon, I'd look unstable, like a grieving girl angry at the world. She had lawyers, witnesses, and copies of paperwork. I had instinct. Instinct doesn't win in court, evidence does. So I played her game. I helped with paperwork. I answered calls. I asked to be included. I even pretended to admire her business ambition. And she bought it. Her ego was the hole she'd fallen into. Behind her back, I began digging. I visited the oil survey office. I asked to see the original rejected proposal. I asked for a date. And what I found stopped my heart. The offer was signed as rejected exactly 5 days before my father became too weak to write anything but initials. The oil company kept the rejected file stamped, dated, and notarized. That meant Dad refused the deal, willingly, legally, clearly. He never intended to sell. I started collecting everything: phone call recordings, emails she sent claiming she was full owner, screenshots, meeting notes, ranch bank transactions she authorized. All of that before the court had recognized her as legal owner. That's fraud. But evidence wasn't enough. I needed proof the signature was fake. So I found something no one thought about. My father's handwriting samples from hospice. His signature at the end of his life was barely a wobble, barely a line. The one on her legal document? Perfect, smooth, a healthy hand. That's when the anger transformed into clarity. Revenge stopped being emotional and became strategic. Months passed like war. I pretended to trust her. She laughed louder, spoke bolder, spent money like she already won. She planned a signing ceremony with the oil investors. She invited a county commissioner, news cameras, and land brokers. She was about to make our family famous for selling a legacy that wasn't hers. The night before the ceremony, I stood in my father's room, the one she stole. I ran my fingers along his old leather hat, still hanging on the bedpost. I remembered him saying, "Land remembers who you are." And I whispered back, "So do I." The next day, cameras flashed. Microphones were set up. She stood at a podium, smiling like a queen coronated on stolen land. The oil company rep asked her to make one final statement as the legal owner of Blackwater Ranch. And she said the words that destroyed her. "I'm proud to be the rightful owner of this land." The sheriff was already there. I walked up, calm as a sunrise, and handed him a folder, my evidence, every lie she thought she buried. When he asked if she had filed documents, given public statements, and taken earnings under the title of legal owner, she proudly said yes. She confessed on camera, with witnesses, microphones, press coverage. She convicted herself. She was arrested for forgery, fraud, falsifying property transfer, and attempted illegal sale. Her diamonds didn't sparkle under handcuffs. 6 months later, the court ruled in my favor. I became the sole heir, legally, publicly, permanently. Not because I cried the hardest, but because I fought the smartest. And when the judge asked if I planned to sell now that I owned everything, I felt my father's voice under my ribs. And I answered clearly, no sale. Not now, not ever. Blackwater Ranch isn't about money. It's where my father taught me how to ride, how to work, how to respect roots. It's the sound of hooves in morning frost. It's memory written in dust and rain. Some land holds history. Ours holds identity. Before I end this story, if you've ever held on to something worth fighting for, hit the like button. It supports stories like mine. Like to protect what matters. Subscribe if you believe legacy is worth defending. And tell me in the comments, would you fight your own family to protect your heritage? Because some battles aren't fought for profit. They're fought so the land remembers who you are.